up with All For One on a call speaking to Aoyama's parents. But he's basically saying that like lies won't work on him because he has this quirk that is able to distinguish between someone lying and not lying. And he says he got this quirk way back in the day, like around the time when the era of quirks first began. To me at least, this is like one of the most interesting portions of the My Hero history, and it's just really too bad that we never really got to see too much of it. Kind of just see, you know, minor flashbacks here and there. But I've always kind of gotten the sense that like All For One was probably one of the first people to ever have a quirk. Like after the glowing baby, there was like, you know, other people getting their quirks, and I'm assuming All For One and Yoichi were like one of the first as well. But he also says that he got this quirk from a plain guy, and that his descendant, on the other hand, was much more memorable, and he pretty much implies that it's Suguchi. Now this makes sense because we see Suguchi's sister Makoto in Vigilantes, and her quirk is called Polygraph, and it allows the user to judge the authenticity and genuineness of their target's words, telling them if they speak the truth or if they are lying. The conditions for this quirk activation is direct physical contact with their target. Now obviously we didn't get any kind of definitions on this quirk in this chapter, and All For One says that it's become quite ambiguous. It has certainly grown stronger due to its mixing with my other quirks. So that's, I guess, a way for Horikoshi to just clear that up. It's like he just knows if you're telling the truth or not, other than how Aoyama and his parents were able to trick him. And we see that with them having this elaborately covert conversation about getting Aoyama to bring Izuku out into the open so that All For One can of course take one for all from him, but they disguise it as All For One going out for a drink, requesting a 40-year aged Macallan in a 16-year-old barrel. I'll just have my son pick it up. And All For One says I could sense no ill intent, lies, or deception. She's telling the truth. But then later on, it turns out that, like I said, he was tricked, and he says, not in our direct phone calls nor in my contact with his parents did I sense any traces of lies or ill intent. It could be something to do with them legitimately not lying here because they did do what he wanted, but the whole ill intent thing is a whole other variable. And we see that, you know, sometimes when a quirk seems to be 100% foolproof, there are characters just break the rules of it because their will is just simply that strong and it overcomes it, or they're just doing the right thing. You know, I mean, we previously saw Izuku kind of break Night Ice quirk, which before that point seemed to be 100% foolproof. Could be wrong about this, just my 2 cents. But anyway, Izuku does wind up meeting with Aoyama, and at first read, we're led to believe that Aoyama is completely deceiving Izuku here, saying that his parents' lawyers had him acquitted. That's how he was able to come out into the public and meet Izuku. But then he also goes on to explain All For One's true goal, which I guess we've never really had too much insight into before. I mean, we know that he wants one for all and wants to become all powerful, of course. But what he's basically saying is that in the aftermath of the war, Japan is kind of on a downward trajectory, and All For One wants to take advantage of that. And he wants all of the other nations in the world to kind of abandon Japan to ensure their own survival. And when all of the resources kind of run dry or about to, then he can come out and say, hey guys, I have all these quirks. I have a water quirk, I have a gas quirk, I have electricity quirk. I can help everyone, but you're all going to have to, you know, bow down, kiss the ring. He wants to become the demon lord of this world. But after Aoyama is done speaking, we see All For One emerge behind him with a new version of his Darth Vader-esque helmet. Now it looks more like the ebony armor from Skyrim. Very aesthetic. But then he also says something really interesting. That whole spiel about my final plan was quite marvelous. It wasn't 100% accurate. But still, did your parents tell you all of that? So there's more to his ultimate goal here, which I'm assuming is going to be revealed soon, since there's a limited number of chapters left. But anyway, it turns out that All For One was tricked by the little stage performance by Izuku and Aoyama here. And then All For One activates Johnny's warp quirk, or whatever it's called, with the, you know, the gooey portals that come out, and we see all of the villains come out. Nomu's Liberation Army guys, even Shigaraki's here, and some villains I don't even think we know the names of yet. But on the other side of the coin, the heroes are getting their little Avengers Endgame moment. We see a Kurogiri portal opening behind Aoyama. And like I said before, I thought maybe Aizawa got through to Kurogiri because we saw them in the previous chapter. Now it turns out that it was for sure Monoma copying his quirk and using it to send all the heroes here. Now, does that mean that there's no chance of us seeing Shirakumo again? I don't think so. I do think Shirakumo will come back, before the end of the series and aid in this final battle. I don't know, it was kind of established that he would, and I don't know, it would be unlike Horikoshi for that to not come to fruition. Could be wrong, but it seems like this is for sure setting up the final battle, like I said before, and it's super exciting because this is what most of us wanted. We just want to see all of the heroes and the villains go at it, nothing holding them back. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that everything is going to be clear cut. I'm sure we're going to see even more heroes lose their lives like they did in the original war, as well as villains. I don't expect all of these characters to make it out of this, and there's going to be some sad moments for sure, but there's also going to be some great moments too. I also pointed this out before, but we're seeing Mirko back, and she has a new prosthetic arm. But yeah, that's where the chapter ends, and like I said, really looking forward to how the rest of the series plays out.